Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We've got some breaking news out of Sandusky, Ohio, where the opening day of Cedar Point started out with a small accident on the brand new Steel Vengeance road.
We stress small.
Small accident.
Very small.
So we have a short statement here from the park via the Sandusky Register. This is from Tony Clark. He said, at approximately 1:30 p.m., a Steel Vengeance train returning to the station lightly bumped a park train in the loading station. There were guests on both trains. 4 guests requested a review at the ride by the park's first aid team and went back into the park. All other guests left the ride and continued on with their visit. Steel Vengeance is currently closed while the incident is under review, and there is no further information at this time. So, Danny, it seems like Steel Vengeance had some issues. We did see some pictures of the 2 trains in the station at the same time. A light bump. We actually knew some people on the train, and one of them said to us that it was a very light bump. Didn't seem like a whole lot of people were injured. Some people got checked out, like the statement says. Danny, your thoughts on Steel Vengeance at this point?
Well, this is real unfortunate, obviously, because we've heard some glowing reviews of the ride itself from Media Day, and then also the preview events that have been going on over the last week or so. So this is, kind of a bummer to start off the official opening day of Steel Vengeance World Premiere Weekend with an issue like this just a couple hours in. I think the most important thing here is that. One of the people who was on the train that we've been communicating with said that the park did a very good job of tending to all the guests who were on both trains, making sure that nobody was injured or required any sort of medical attention. As the statement said, a few people were checked out by first aid, but all of them then returned to the park. So it seems that there was no extensive medical attention needed from any of the guests, or no medical attention seeked out outside of that first aid visit. We also learned that all of the people involved were given a single meal deal voucher and also Fastlane Plus for the remainder of the day as some compensation. So, first and foremost, good news that everyone seems to be okay. No major injuries to talk about here. Second, that the park did what they should be doing in taking care of the guests. And even though it is a very minor incident, they are compensating the guests for their inconvenience. We also heard rumblings that people who were in the very long line, which at one point was about 4 hours or so, were given some at least some exit passes or some skip the line passes, some one-time fast lane passes. Whether or not that's enough, if you were waiting in a 4-hour line and then are told to get out of the line, whether or not you want to say that that's enough, I think that's a different discussion. I don't think that's, maybe that's not for here. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I think it all depends on how long you were actually waiting in that line. But at the end of the day, the good news is here that nobody was injured. It doesn't look like from the few photos we saw that there was any major damage to the trains that we could see. We've heard differing reports on whether or not there was damage to the trains and or the track. That's going to be something that we can't really speculate on. We're not there. Yeah. We haven't seen any pictures or videos to really clearly illustrate one way or the other on that. So we're going to have to let that be for now. But it would seem that Steel Vengeance will be closed for at least, you would think, at least the remainder of this weekend and possibly beyond. I mean, they do have this week where they're not open before the ACE event, which is next Saturday. So they do have a few days to maybe work on it. I imagine they'll be working very hard to repair any damage that is done and to get this thing back open. What sort of testing they might have to do after this, I don't know. I don't know what that will require, legally and whatnot. We're not going to speculate.
The state might have to be involved too,
Yeah, they might. You might have to be recertified. I don't know what goes into this. We're not really going to speculate on that. But for now, Steel Vengeance will be closed.
It does sound, though, that Steel Vengeance opened to a very rousing start here. That we heard all morning.
Rave reviews.
4-hour lines that stretched all the way from, Steel Vengeance all the way to Magnum. I don't know if that was exaggerated, but that's what it sounded like, that it opened. I don't know if the queues were open at that point yet.
Right.
But it did sound like it had, a lot of support here. So hopefully we don't see a lengthy delay here in reopening Steel Vengeance, because this is a ride. I don't want to understate it, but this is definitely a ride that could set a new attendance record for Cedar Point. That we've yet to have a ride beat Raptor. So
yes, that's very true.
Yet to have a
but
ride.
If it's closed for a lengthy amount of time, maybe that doesn't happen. So
yeah, and that would be unfortunate because Millennium Force. Everyone thought Millennium Force would overtake that attendance record, but a bad weather season led to that coming short of the '94 season. So I think a lot of people are hoping that Steel Vengeance sets a new record, and this opening day start here kind of said that maybe it might. That it sounded like it was better than what the Gatekeeper line was.
Yeah,
Gatekeeper had a very lengthy line back in 2013 when we were there for opening weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly they get
and like you said, Gatekeeper didn't have nearly the hype, and opening weekend did not have great weather. It was cold and cloudy on Saturday, and then it was windy, and that was the day of the valleys where Maverick, Millennium, and Leviathan all valleyed on the same day. That
was Sunday. So that was
Sunday. That was Sunday. Yes. Yeah. Where it was sunny, but then it was extremely windy and chilly. Yes. So they had very good weather out there today. So it's unfortunate. We know several people who did get to ride it today before this occurred. We know, like we said, a couple of people who are involved with this that are all okay and are back in the park enjoying the rest of their day, as far as we know, and as far as we've discussed with them. And we know some people who were out there and haven't ridden it yet. So we'll see what happens here in the coming days and weeks.
Well, we will keep you updated on Steel Vengeance, and hopefully when it reopens, we'll do another update to announce the reopening, and hopefully that is done sooner than later.
Yes.
So as always, thanks for joining us here on COASTER-net Update. I'm, of course, Andrew Barczyk from Chicago, Illinois.
And Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
And as always, ride on, Ride Warriors.
See you guys.